Hey everyone, sorry about the delay in posting this. Life sort of got in the way. I'll try and post the last video in this series tomorrow and do some more predictions or reaction videos before the end of the year, and then start back up with this Who Is series going forward in 2026. I really appreciate everyone watching, and if you're enjoying, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much. All of this allows me to jump to the Fed chair today. So Jerome Powell is our current Fed chair. He has been the chair since Trump nominated him to the position in 2018, which I thought was very interesting because I actually didn't know that Trump was the one who originally nominated him to his position as the leader of the Federal Reserve. But a little bit of history about who he is and where he came from. So he did undergrad at Princeton and graduate school at Georgetown Law. Then afterwards, he spent about 5 years doing like paralegal and working as a lawyer before spending about 10 years in investment banking. And so after investment banking, he moved into public service, working in the Treasury under George H.W. Bush, which is, for those of you who are like me, the old one, not the sort of more recent one. Not the 9/11 guy. But after his time working in the Treasury under Bush, Obama nominated him to the board of directors, which is that sort of 7-people group that oversees the 12 regional directors and sets the policy. And so from there, Trump then nominates him to be the chair of the group. So it's important to note that this is somebody who's very much drawing this bipartisan support. He is pulling people from across both sides of the aisle, and Obama nominated him to the board of governors. Trump nominated him for chair. Biden also reaffirmed his nomination for chair. So he is very much somebody who's been pulling across the aisle. And I think in my last video, we talked about the Overtune compass and the fracturing of the center of it. He is somebody who is hurting from this fracturing. He is somebody who exists in the center ground that is no longer popular. He doesn't have a ton of support from the Democrats, despite being somebody who stands up to Trump and literally says, "No, you're wrong," to Trump's face, which it seems like no Democrat has the gall to do. But obviously, by being somebody who's willing to say you're wrong to Trump, he's drawn a lot of Trump's ear. And so he's sort of in this position where he's in the center, but as things are fracturing away from the center, he is struggling to sort of pull everyone back and have everyone sit at the table together. And so some of the tweets and things from the first Trump presidency were in 2018, after Powell was named the chair. He tries to reverse some of this quantitative easing they've done during the 2008 financial crisis. And so basically what he's trying to do is he is trying to sell off some of these assets that they have bought and have been holding at a loss. And so what this is going to do is take money out of the economy and put these assets back in, which depletes the money supply and makes it harder to borrow and harder to spend money. Naturally, this is hugely unpopular with Trump. He very, very publicly disagrees with Powell and says that the Fed can't do anything properly, and basically compares Powell to Xi Jinping and says who is the bigger enemy to the US. As the 2020 goes on, Trump continues to bash Powell and ask for interest rate cuts and more depressed discount rates and things like that. as well as sort of bashing Powell, and floats the idea of firing him, but doesn't really go anywhere, and Trump won. Which brings us to COVID, where there is a lot of reaction from the Fed. Basically, they realized, hey, we can't do quantitative tightening, and if the entire economy is going to come to a standstill, we have to do quantitative easing again. And so as everything came to a stop in March and April of 2020, the Fed basically started buying up all of the treasuries and government-backed securities that they could get their hands on. They basically expanded their budget and balance sheet, which tripled, I believe, from 2020, from like the start of 2020 to June of 2020. So adding massive amounts of dollars to the system, taking out lots and lots and lots of liabilities, because they believe that the economy needs more cash in it to keep functioning. A lot of this came from like the CARES Act, the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP. There was another one called the Employee Retention Program, which also very similar to PPP, but was a lot of money for small and medium-sized businesses that wasn't superly overseen and given as either forgivable loans or payback for salary paid to employees during this period of COVID. All of that to say, but then we have Trump versus Powell round 2, which is the current round that we're seeing right now. So Powell's term expires in May of next year, and Trump cannot wait for this to happen. So I have a bunch of tweets and sort of messages of Trump's truth posts about how bad Powell is, and how he's always too late, and how he's always helping out the Democrats and always hating on Trump. And then there's obviously this comic of Trump pointing at him and saying, "You're fired," that I thought was funny. Hey everyone, I just wanted to try and re-record this bit because the audio from the video didn't get recorded, but some really quick context is this is Trump and Powell at the Federal Reserve. Trump has been using this as a point of contention because he believes that renovations are well over budget and the costs have been blown out of proportion, and he's sort of trying to use this as an excuse to get Powell out of power. And with that, I'm just going to let the video play for a second.
2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital plan.
Yeah, you just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building.
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
So I just think this is really important to show that Powell's willing to stand up and fact check Trump in real time and show hey, this is not what's actually the case. This building was built 5 years ago. It's not at all new. It was been approved and been built and finished long ago. Of that. But I just thought this was hilarious to show sort of Powell stands up and is not afraid to call Trump on his bullshit and just say, no, that's not what we're talking about. That was done 5 years ago, bro. You don't know what's going on. But this sort of keeps adding to this idea that Trump is very much trying to replace federal people in the Federal Reserve with people who are more politically favored to him. We also have seen him try and replace another governor, Lisa Cook. He accused her of, I believe it was mortgage fraud, where he accused her of listing multiple residences as her primary residence. However, there is an ongoing lawsuit about this where I believe that Lisa Cook has shown, at least in initial filings, that the residents in question were not listed as such and were properly listed, and that Trump is sort of pulling this out of thin air to try and get somebody who is not favorable to him out of a quote-unquote independent office position and replace them with somebody who is more likely to favor lowering interest rates, because it will stimulate the economy and help Trump's claim that the economy is doing great and all of this money is being spent and all of this money is flowing in.